I don't know if it's a touchscreen.
I don't know either. Okay, hold on.
If you pressed
Let me
enter,
text Maddie.
No, we're good. We're recording on this end.
But my screen is showing something.
it says to push got it.
That's it.
Push
Just
got it.
Yeah, but we don't
But
have
I did. I don't think it's a
touchscreen.
touch screen though. Oh God, Trevor's not
I'm touching.
supposed to touch anything. Stop touching things.
It's not a touch.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. We do not
Ignore it.
You
Ignore
gotta enter and then it'll screw everything up.
Yep. Ignore it. That's just letting you know that it's recording, and I'm going to hit our open and then keep eating.
All right.
Welcome aboard, all you wonderful groomers, pet stylists, and canine cosmetologists. You found the Traveling Groomers Podcast, where we discuss lessons learned from mobile and house call grooming. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Bear Anthony. Any moment now, we'll be joined by my co-host and friend, retired mobile groomer and educator extraordinaire, Mary Aquendo, and very likely a special guest to help us chat about all things grooming, grooming industry related, and just plain fun digressions that I will totally wrangle back to topic. Grab those travel mugs and climb aboard to see where today's topic will bring us. Let's roll.
Okay, so we have a special guest today.
Yes, we do, Mary. And it's someone you've met before, but I have only spoken to.
Isn't that strange? I feel like I know because we haven't actually met. So soon, very soon.
Yeah, so I met Michelle. Oh, Michelle Jara-Price.
Hara. Yep. Like hell.
Jara-Price.
Yeah.
Okay. She is a pet tech instructor, Chris. And we were in, which is why I know where the Tri-Cities is, because that's where the class was held, somewhere in that vicinity. I forget actually the name of the town.
Yakima, Washington, which I'm not sure why people live in Yakima, Washington.
That's right, Yakima. Yeah.
I think actually Yakima is pretty worth living in just for the cool name, frankly.
I'm gonna debate you on that one.
No, seriously, Chris, we're going to debate you on that one. Okay. When we got there, we get off the exit and it dumps us in the absolute worst part of town.
Yes.
Well,
and we went to the wrong hotel to start, so we were really frightened. I was there for a minute to like change hotels because it was in Scary Town. Yes. Well,
even great towns have not so great parts. So
that should be the exit, though. That's not where they should put you to begin with if you've never been there. So it was a little
it dumps us off on the other side of town. We think this is really nice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, it was strange. It was very strange.
You're talking to somebody who grew up in Yonkers, lived in the Bronx for a really long time. And yeah, Chris, I would be scared to walk in that part of town of Yakima.
You're also living to someone who lives in technically a suburb of lovely Newark, New Jersey. So I don't.
We're next time you come out here,
we'll take her to Yakima for dinner.
Yeah,
okay.
We're just gonna drive her out there. I'm gonna tell her we're gonna drop you off here. You go find us a restaurant and then call us, and we'll come meet you there.
See, the problem is Angie is listening to this right now, going, "Chris will do it. What are you doing?
You guys
I'll just
go
go
together. Mary and I will meet you in Tacoma, and you guys can go to Yakima."
How far is it from Tacoma?
Probably
couple hours.
A couple hours.
Yeah. No, I see. I love Seattle. There's too much to do in the Tacoma, the twin cities of Tacoma and Seattle.
To get there, you have to go over the pass.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
I'm gonna tell you guys 1 second. So Trevor, my boyfriend here, because he's gonna talk to us today about the handle stuff. You fished at that. What are those falls called?
So the Snoqualmie Falls.
I think we drove past the Snoqualmie Falls area or the park, going from Tacoma to Yakima.
Close to North Bend.
Nice.
And yeah, it's Eastern Washington, and Snoqualmie. The Snoqualmie area is it's absolutely beautiful there, and the Snoqualmie Falls is absolutely wonderful. And I fished in that river for about 8 years, and it was some of the best times of my life. It was wonderful.
So our actual suggestion, Chris, is to drive over there, go over the pass, ooh and ah, and when you get to the other side of the pass, turn around.
Yes, because the pass was, well, what we saw of it was pretty. When I drove there that night, it was nighttime because we waited at the airport for like 3 hours for a rental car. So it was night that we got there. But when Mary and I drove back, it was really pretty back there. Yeah. Yeah. But we don't need to go there again. There's no reason.
So before we get much further, Mary, what am I going to say?
I don't know. What are you going to say? Tell me, Chris.
I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 238, recorded on November 29th, and then we'll be airing on December 13th with our special guest, Michelle
Price.
I was trying to say the middle part, and it just left my head.
No, it's Hara, like a jalapeno.
Okay.
Yes. That's
okay.
the easiest way to remember it. Hara jalapeno.
And I almost came on before we recorded and said, did you want me to have the handle it now on screen? Because that would involve taking it off my dryer. And I don't know if it's allowed.
I have a couple prototypes.
Okay, cool.
So we've got that all covered.
I don't think it's allowed to be off my dryer. Like ever.
That's a good thing.
That's a good
until I pick up a new one at Pasadena.
Okay, so you know what I did do this week though. So the manufacturer, I talked to him yesterday, and of course we're like 2 weeks behind what we're supposed to be. So I had him print. He's printing like 5 prototypes from the CAD for the injection mold, so I can send you the actual as close as possible one as the real one.
Should be identical.
It should be identical, just a different plastic, because it's
okay.
plastic versus the ABS plastic. So he's printing those out. I'm going to get them this Friday. And I will send you one of that, and then you'll be completely dialed in.
Okay, guys, don't worry. We will be explaining everything she just said, because I know I only caught half of it with the abbreviations and the stuff. So we're going to be covering all of that today. But I also wanted to say, what is this thing we're talking about? Because while we're recording, and this will go up on YouTube, a lot of people listen as well. So you came out with a dryer handle, an actual like ergonomic handle. Tell us a little bit about it, because it's crazy. I feel like I've been waiting for yours for a few months. I know you've been in development. So give me a quick rundown, then we'll go to commercial, and we'll go into a deeper dive.
Okay, so quick rundown. It is an ergonomic attachment to your high velocity dryer hose, so that when you're drying your dogs for long periods of times, your hands can be rested, you can be in neutral positions, your shoulders can be relaxed, you can remove heat from your hand, and just give your grip a little relaxation, so that drying isn't so challenging. It's not putting so much stress on your hands, your shoulders, your entire body. So it was a design we've been working on it for about 2 years now. And we brought the prototypes to show you the Stone Age model of where we started at and how we got to where we're going. And I think you've tried it, and I think everybody's going to love it when they get their hands on it. So.
Oh, hey, Chris. So at the first day,
yes.
So everybody that was there, with the exception of one person, was a groomer. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So she comes out with this thing and she shows us, right? And all of us groomers are like drooling.
And the one non-groomer is like, what? What's the big deal? I don't understand.
And we were like, well, no, we want them now. We want them right now. Not now. Get it to us now.
Yes.
Not in a month, not in a week.
Now.
Did you have anyone like get into an actual fight over who got to take that one home?
No, I took it home. So
oh, okay.
Brought that one home. And I told Katie she's one of the other gals who was, she's like, I want 3 and I want them now. So I told her I would send her a prototype. She's up in not too far from Mary, I think. So
no, she's in that whole Tacoma, Seattle line in that area. No, I'm telling you, she's from Oregon. Sorry, Katie.
Awesome. All right. So hang on. We're going to hear from our first sponsor, and then I want some more information on how this came about and how you are physically putting it together.
Okay.
And speaking of continuing education, because we either were or will be, join the Andis World-Class Education Team each month for live interactive virtual classes. You'll learn new and trending styles, as well as tips and tricks from some of the best groomers in the industry. Whether you're looking for basic skills, trending styles, advanced techniques, or even just ways to spark your creativity, the new Andis Grooming Education site is your source for finding what you need to create your way for success. Try new techniques, learn from the pros, and grow your confidence today at andis.com/groomer education. Traveling Groomer Podcast listeners, hey, that's you, can get 25% off your first course today with the code VEGROOMING at checkout on andis.com/groomer education. All righty. So you said you've been researching this about 2 years. I don't even know where to start with how you came up with this idea, because I think there's certain ideas that a lot of people, like, it goes poof, like at various different times, as we've seen, but you put a lot of work into this. What's your background, like knowledge of ergonomics? Like, what made you go, this has to be a specific way?
Well, honestly, so in college, I was a kinesiology major. Kinesiology is the study of movement and mechanics, usually in the sports industry. That's where I was kind of headed when I started, because I was going to go into physical therapy. And so that was my background, was kinesiology. Ended up going into teaching. So I'm a credentialed teacher, taught elementary school, taught elementary PE. Mary knows about this business. In 2004, started a business called Science on the Go, and I was doing mobile science assemblies, going to school, doing interactive things, animals. When Trevor and I met, my garage was full of snakes and lizards and possums and hedgehogs and walking sticks and tarantulas, and he was okay with it, and he still stuck around. So that was good. COVID shut that business down because it was a live, animal thing at schools. COVID shut it down. So I decided to stay in the animal industry. I've had horses my whole life. We've had dogs. I've shown dogs, shown horses, groomed everything, given tortoises shots, groomed whatever need to be groomed. I've been grooming, shedding snakes. I mean, that's something that I know how to do when they need to be helped shed a snake. So I went to one of the local grooming schools that's here, and was in grooming school. It's about a 250-hour grooming school. Had a lot of a foundation before, but wanted to go in and just kind of dial that in. And then came out and went and worked at a shop for, I'm going to say, like a minute, because in like a minute, I was like, I'm going to die here, because the first day of working, the nozzle on the water thing was so jammed up that like in a day, I couldn't move my thumb from bathing dogs. I'm like, wow. Well, can we change this? Is this something we can change? Because this isn't going to work. And then we were drying like large dogs. She was like clipping them to the wall, and I was sitting on the floor drying big dogs. And I'm 57 now. I started at 53. And I was like, okay, I'm way too old to sit on the ground. So I immediately started thinking mobile. So I could design my own rig and stuff like that. So once we designed the rig, it took 6 months. So then I went and worked with another mobile. She'd been an amazing groomer for a long time, but it wasn't a business kind of mine. So I helped her with business. She helped me with grooming, and it took us about 6 months to get my trailer, started grooming. And within 6 months, I was like, my hand is killing me. My wrist is killing me. My shoulders are killing me. There's got to be a better way. And at the time I was still doing like big doodles and stuff. So you're drying for hours and hours in the trailer. So Trevor and I went, like, why is there nothing hooked on this hose? Why are we holding a hose like a giant submarine sandwich? So we went to a gun show, and this is our original. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay. This is a pistol. What is
Yes,
it?
It's a forward grip for a 12 gauge shotgun.
That's how we started.
Okay.
Okay. So we took it without this part of it, and then we put the hose on it, and we Velcroed this to the hose. So now we're at 90 degrees. Okay. So now you're here, right? Drying dogs. It's taking the heat off your hands and having a little different hand pressure, but it's still not ergonomic because you're still here.
Yeah.
Because it's 90 degrees.
We started.
Started there flat.
Okay.
Yeah. So Trevor is a pipe fitter welder. So he can tell you how he mechanicked that, because I have not a clue.
I've been a general metal manufacturer, and for pretty much my entire life, all through high school and grade school, and I have been mastering parts of metal for quite some time, and I designed this. I pounded it with a hammer, basically in the garage, and cut it and chopped it and made these holes so that we could find the exact angle that we needed to be. So we started flat. Like most of the ones we've been seeing these days are flat. And this still, as Michelle told you, you have arm up and all that kind of stuff. So we started playing with the angle, and I started finding a different angle, and we ended up there. And this was the perfect angle.
That's probably a little too steep. We're at I think about 43 degrees is where we ended up. But what I did with this one is I moved the pin like every 3 weeks just to
see how your wrist felt after a week. Yeah.
So what I found is that, there is a learning curve, and you've probably noticed that because you've been using a prototype. Learning curve, keeps taking your hand to the same place, to the hose. So we about 3 weeks, maybe sometimes 4, I left it in one spot just to kind of see. And then I'd be like, nope, we need to change it. So we would just pull a pin. So we put a little mechanical pin thingy in there and to lock it in. And then eventually we got to where I never moved it ever again. And that's where we kept it at. So I think I kept it there for probably 3-4 months minimum before I said that's a sweet spot.
Yep.
That works.
She never moved it after that.
Keeps your hand, where it needs to be, keeps your shoulders down, keeps your wrist straight. Just lines everything up, and fortunately I have a table that I can adjust up and down. So I can adjust my dog to where I need to be so that I can keep my arm in that neutral position, keep my wrist neutral, keep my arm relaxed, and still being able to dry the dogs. And then shortly after that, we had a college student, because we went to a high school that had a whole engineering program, and it was a crazy engineering program. And we were like, we wonder if some kids can like make some CAD out of this for us, because we didn't know any of that. And they never.
Wait, what's CAD?
What does CAD represent? What is the acronym? It's the computer part of
it's computer
design.
It's computer engineering.
Yes, it's the design. It's the design program. So
computer aided design.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
CAD.
So Trevor took a drawing. He made a drawing, that's probably upstairs. The drawing had all the angles to it, right? And all the degrees of what needed to be here, there, and everywhere. And, you just used a protractor or something, right?
Yes, I
just an old school protractor, and made a design. We gave it to an engineering student. He computerized the design, And then what the computerized design allows you to do is hook it up to 3D printing. So when people 3D print something, they have to have a CAD design. There has to be a computer program that is telling the 3D print machine what to do, how to do, where the scribbles lie and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So that's how we started, is with that. And we printed 2, I think, at the time. And then I put out on a Facebook a post for local groomers, and I was like, who wants to try this out? And I probably had 30 people right away reach out and say, we want to do it. So Trevor and I went every 2 weeks, went to a couple different groomers. I think we had more than 2, but I don't remember. He installed them. And then I had them do a pre-test, so that I wanted to know, what are their current pains? What are they currently doing for health? What would their goal, if they could have something different, what would they want different? So it was like a 10, questionnaire I had them fill out. We installed the handles, left it there for 2 weeks, and then went back and took them back and had them fill out the questionnaire. And then just based on the questionnaires, how we ended up dialing in to our eventual thing that we have now. We had one groomer like you. She put it on. She was one of our first ones. And she goes, I am never going to take this off. What do you need me to do to help you? And I was like, okay. And, she's been our go-to for questioning. I send her different prototypes. We have like 8 different prototypes. So that was one of the early ones. This one was another one that we tried. We tried to remove some of the things. We're like, do we need finger grips? Do we not need finger grips? We removed them. We had no base, and then we added a base, and then we added 2 hooks, and we're like, no, we don't need 2 hooks. This was one that this is why the 3D printing is not a long-term solution for something like this, because the heat actually melted it from the nose.
That's wild.
And I just want to make mention that if you're listening to this and you want to see it, you're going to have to run over to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, I meant to say earlier, this is an episode that so far, at least the first half, you kind of have to watch on YouTube to get a good idea of all the different steps they went through for this. But hang on, and hold that thought, Mary, because we will be right back. What if I told you you could have a year's worth of online education for less than the cost of one in-person trade show? That's right. For only $97 a month, you have access to a different 2-day educational conference with 10 hours of material taught by the best in the industry. Every month has a new theme that includes anything from grooming skills to business and everything in between. Can't catch it live or just want to rewatch it? Recordings are available for 6 weeks with closed captioning for both live and recordings with transcripts. What are you waiting for? Grab your membership today at positiveed.com. I really love how you put that pin in that first prototype, because I was trying to figure out how you played with the angles. And I'm like, if you 3D printed each prototype just to test the angles, that was a lot of time and effort and material.
Or any of the CAD was ever even developed. This was just old school engineering. Yeah. Trevor's one of those people that can build a house, so in the zombie apocalypse, I will read the documents and he will build the house.
Okay.
And this is just, he mechanicked this, and I was like, nope, don't like that. So we changed it. Nope, don't like that. So we changed it. So it was really just time. I mean, it was really just putting the time and letting it settle, and letting your muscle memory get to the point where you can relax, because your muscle memory, as you know, will take you back to what you've been doing repetitively for years. So it is a little bit of, changing that muscle memory and reminding yourself to just relax and hold the tool and let it do what it does. So,
All right. So Trevor, you used your high school math skills?
yes.
Yes. Years of metal fabrication. Yes. And problem solving. And I enjoy very much getting a hold of a project like this and being able to think about the problem solving and making it out of basically nothing, right? So just, get the metal together and find out where it should be. And yes, there is quite a bit of geometry in there, by the way. There is quite
The drawing is very geometric.
There's actually quite a bit of math in there involved. Yes, there's
so everybody who thought they would never have to use their high school math, you probably are incorrect. Chris, had to use high school math one time to figure out if I could get some boards into my car or not. I was like so proud of myself. I was like, I just did algebra. Holy cow.
Right.
Years
so
after
all that schooling so you could figure that out.
Yep.
You know what? I actually use it regularly. Where I mostly use it is in the kitchen. Because adding and subtracting fractions, actually usually adding or multiplying fractions, because if you want to double a recipe that calls for a quarter cup of something.
Or you just do a quarter cup twice.
Gosh, I am making the rare attempt to be a good influence. Hush your mouth. This happens so rarely.
Right? Yes. I just kind of, that looks the same. One.
But also I do that. But what if double is too much? It's going to overflow your pan. What if you want to do like a little bit more?
Yeah.
1.5.
So 1.5, huh?
Are you measuring a pinch anyway?
Right.
Well, it depends on what it's a pinch of.
Or a dash?
Yeah, depends on what it's a dash of.
It depends on what it is. I'm going to be like really liberal, would say something like any kind of extract, like vanilla.
Vanilla.
Oh, yeah.
A dash of vanilla means like 2 teaspoons. Like, that's kind of like, when they say put in a clove of garlic and you're like, you mean a bulb, right?
The whole thing?
Yeah, you mean the whole thing, or a pat of butter.
Pat of butter means a half a stick.
That's a half a stick to me.
That's a half. Oh, okay. For our first serious official digression of the day.
Yeah.
So I broke the cardinal rule and I experimented with a recipe on Thanksgiving because it was just the two of us. So I'm like, it's not like I'm bringing an untested recipe, right? And I made burgundy mushrooms. And they were right, just like burgundy wine. And the recipe I found legit said to simmer total of 9 hours.
Oh, geez, that's a long time.
That's a lot.
That's a long time.
It was amazing, though. It was amazing. I had to do a little math. I did a lot of measuring with my heart. And because it was a long day. I'm like, it's going to be good.
You in high school algebra. Okay.
No, they don't teach you how to measure with your heart when you're cooking. But I went to look over the recipe 2 days later because I'm like, did it really say simmer for 9 hours? That seems excessive. And while it did say to simmer for 9 hours, it also said to use 2 sticks of butter instead of the 4 that I put in.
Wow.
Awesome.
Whole pound. No wonder they were so good.
No wonder they were so good.
It was like toffee with mushrooms.
It was like wine, mushroom toffee wine. It just, was so good. 100% worth the 9 hours of just leave it alone on the stove. 10 out of 10 would make again.
Awesome.
I might not.
Drawing has like math and numbers and
that you can't measure those with your heart, though.
No,
you have to be precise.
Little,
yes.
What is that thing called? The
protractor.
Protractor.
Yeah, he had to use the actual protractor to measure the angles because I don't know, when we did the actual prototype, I didn't say this was this many degrees. We just
Right.
kept until I was like, that's it. We're done. That's the spot it needs to be. So, but that took almost a year to find just the spot.
Right,
And
because you had to test each different spot just to see what was what.
right. And so when
And you don't know right off, you can't just
No.
hold it in your hand and use it
No.
time and say that's it. You
Yeah.
have to use it for
A little bit.
little bit of time to be able to say that this is better than it was before.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once we started taking it to groomers and stuff, we spent about 3 months or so letting groomers test it. And that was right about the time, Mary, when I went to the trade show last year at Pasadena at the February Expo, when I met Mary, because I networked my way to find Mary. And then Mary was like, you need to go talk to Tommy. Because I was just walking the expo, I took a class I took a couple classes on Thursday, and then Friday, I'm like, I'm just gonna go see what's here. And I couldn't find anything that was similar to what we were doing. So Mary's like, you need to go talk to Tommy. So that's how I met Tommy, is I was just like, knock, knock, knock. I'm like, hey, Mary says I need to come talk to you. And he's like, well, why does Mary say you need to come talk to me? And I'm like, well, I've got this thing, and you're the only other person that's creating new things right now. So she said, you would be my best go-to. And now Tommy's like my best friend. He's like this little angel that sits right here and is talking to me. And I text him all the time, like I text you, Chris. And he's been just a world of knowledge for me. But once Tommy was like, do it, go, the industry needs this, is when we actually went to Now, who was our engineer. They're local to us. It's called Terra Engineering. We took the product to Terra Engineering. We actually had a like professional engineers redo the CAD, change it so that the parts. So once because right now we're having the injection mold created, and it actually will be 2 pieces. And so it will have to have assembly. So they mechanicked it through the 3D CAD so that the CAD represents what the injection mold will design. So we did the same thing with him. He engineered some stuff. He's the one that came up with like 2 straps. And I'm like, why do we have 2? And he was like, well, I just thought if you needed. And I'm like, no, too much just simple. So we took it away from 2. At one time we stripped down all of the finger holds. And then Rose and I, the girl that won't take it off, also, we're like, no, it's missing. There's too much play. We wanted the base of this a little bigger so that your thumb can sit on it. We wanted the base of this not so sharp, because sometimes I hold it upside down and I hold it like this. So we kind of try to design it so that you can, so this is one that's actually attached to a hose. One of the original ones, not our final, because you can see there's too many finger holds. But we rounded this, we rounded that because we want, to be able to hold it loosely. But I know that you've tried this, Chris, you can
the underhand grip is life.
Yeah. And you just
on that one,
it just flexes in your hand. It just allows you to not be death gripping on your dryer or holding the heat. And when Trevor designed this part of it, we tested it on, once we did the CAD, we tested it on like 6 different dryers or so. We did, this is a Schernbau. We put it on a Flying Pig. We put it on the Canine. Yeah. So this one actually probably has the largest diameter of most of the dryers, and the way we designed it, any dryer can sit in it nicely. And then when it's on, as you know, Chris, there is math behind it, but I can't explain all of it. But when the actual air is pushing down on this and pushing down on this, it almost like floats. It's not,
it'll
heavy.
Create a lift, and it'll actually make it weightless. Yes.
Yeah.
It
So
takes the weight off your hands.
Yeah. And so that once we got the engineer, lined up, then he's been working with us to get the exact one that we wanted. And it took us again, like 3 more tries of, he's like, let's try this, because he knew some more things that we didn't know. And then we came up with what we have now. And so the 3D prints are what our prototypes are, but the actual product will be injection molded. So,
okay, so hold that thought. We're going to be back in 30 seconds because we are just chugging along. Today's going fast. Like Mary, I love you, but there are some episodes where we just we decide 5 minutes before, and it does feel like it takes a long time. We're like, oh, we just got our topic 3 minutes before we hit record, and it feels like forever. And sometimes we have guests and it's like, where did the hour go? So
all right.
30 seconds. I know when I'm on the road grooming, I want to keep things rolling along. With a 9-foot clearance, Handview mobile grooming vans actually fit through most drive-thrus to make lunch and banking on the go a breeze. With their clean running diesel engine getting up to 5 hours runtime per gallon, you're spending less time and money at the pump. Visit Handview.com today to configure the mobile grooming van of your dreams. See, 30 seconds. So what's the difference in the plastic with the injection molding thing? Like what?
There is quite a bit of difference, actually.
Okay. Non-technical person.
Okay, so
explain.
The plastic that comes out of a 3D printer has been melted and turned into a wire. And so it's already been heated. As for the
injection
mold, they use ASB plastic, which is a little bit more industrial.
Is it ASB or ABS?
ABS, pardon me.
I think it's ABS. I don't know what it stands for.
ABS, yeah. And it's a little bit more higher industrial strength plastic that they inject in one time, and once it solidifies, it is much, much stronger.
Yeah, it's kind of like the engineer's name is Sean. He said most, like your remote controls, most everything that you use on a daily basis that is mass produced is made out of ABS. He says there's different kinds of plastics you can use, but ABS tends to be like the strongest plastic that you can use without making your price crazy high, because there are other plastics that you can inject as well. But that's just kind of based on what he told us about the plastics and stuff. That seemed to make the most sense to use that form of plastic. So it will endure a little bit longer. It will endure heat. Like I said, this was the one that did not endure the heat, and it just simply melted. Because those dryers run hot. So if that dryer is sitting right on that, it touches it and it runs pretty hot. So it will melt that plastic over time.
And I don't know what it is. Like, I have one of those sleeves on my dryer, and I have a Schernbaum. And when the way it is with the handle, it'll hit my arm, and I'll actually sometimes tuck it under my arm to keep it out of the way from flopping. So it's tucked under. So I don't know why the heat doesn't bother me that way. But when I'm gripping it, like if I don't have the handle on it, the heat bothers my hand. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah. I don't have a sleeve. I have the K9 2 dryer in my trailer, and I don't have the sleeve on it. But I don't touch it very much because I'm using my handle. So, and it's mounted high in my trailer, so it drapes down. So I don't actually touch the hose very often because I don't need to. So I'm not pulling it up from, like, a lot of people have their dryers down low and they're holding it up and holding the hose up this way. I don't have to do that because it comes down from a top cabinet.
Didn't we talk to somebody that actually melted their hose on their actual?
Yes. One of the gals who tested it, one of her dryers actually melted, like the connection. Her connector actually melted after a while. I don't know how long she'd had the dryer, but it actually melted the connection. So she's got all those pipe clamps that everybody is using. But those conduct heat too because they're metal.
Because they're metal. So the dryer gets hot enough, even if you have a sleeve on, that little pipe clamp hits you. Oh,
yeah, it gets. So that's kind of why we just did Velcro. Velcro just seemed to make more sense. It doesn't conduct any heat. It holds everything in place the way it needs to be held. Ironically, it does not attract as much dog hair as you would think because the sticky part is covered. It's, you don't have anything exposed that's not part of the sticky part. So it just has allowed for a little more flexibility with how people, want to use it or attach it.
It's a whole lot easier than having to get a screwdriver too.
Yeah. And they're hard on your fingers. They're definitely harder on your fingers. So that's how it's about. And we've got this is now, what's today? Today's like the end of November. So the injection mold should be done in the next like 3-ish weeks. And then we'll have product ready to go at the beginning of the year. It'll be at the expo. We have a booth at the February. The product is called Handle It. So we'll have just a booth for Handle It. And the website is just about done. We had a professional photographer come out and do pictures. Chris, did you watch the installation video? I think I sent it to you and Tommy. Bless you.
Pardon me. That was some delicious hot cocoa going down the wrong pipe. I think I watched part of it, but I'd already put it on.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, well, this makes it took me like 30 seconds and I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay, good.
I figured it out. Right. So I just watched enough of the installation video to make sure I put it on right.
Because I was like, okay, people need to know. I mean, it's not hard to install it, but
no.
The most important thing was getting, make sure your hose stays straight when you're installing it so that
you got to find that sweet spot where you don't want to fight the hose.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I actually found with mine, because I don't have the Velcro super, super tight. And because I have a Schernbau dryer hanging on the wall, and because of how the hose curls and uncurls, right. If I have the Velcro a little loose, it will
slide.
It'll slide into the correct position.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I kind of like that.
And the super cool thing is too, we have 2 distributors that are already on board with us.
Okay. Who are they?
Yeah.
Joanne Parker. She's what her company is called Canadian Grooming Distributor. So she reached out to me and she's on board, and she's been sending me videos because she's been trying some of our competitors just to see how they work. And so she's been doing some video clips of some things and sharing information with me, which has been really, really helpful. And she's super on board. And then last week or the week before, Domenico from Pet Store Direct called me.
Nice.
So Pet Store Direct is also going to be one of our distributors right now. They're committed to distributing, which is super great. And then we've got a couple other people that we're working with because of Tommy. So Tommy's like, you need to call this person. You need to call.
Before we take another 30-second break, I have to tell you a funny story when, because I'm friends with Tommy. I had kind of heard a little birdie rumor that he was working on something like a handle. So I thought it was Tommy working on a handle. So when Mary put me in touch with you, and I'm like, oh, loyalties issues, I'm gonna have because it's a great product. I'm like, yay
for you.
Yay for you, but I'm friends with her. And then you're like, oh no, I've been working with Tommy. I'm like,
yes. Yeah. And the super cool thing is that Tommy has been talking about like putting like an ergonomic package together for people to really, what I've learned in the last 3 weeks after some very minimal posting is that people don't really understand what ergonomics are, and they don't understand.
I just had an idea. What if sometime next year we did an ergonomic summit for Positive Ed?
Yeah, it'd be awesome. That'd be people.
Mary, you made me make the face in mixed company. That's impolite. Okay, wait, let me hit a perfectly timed button. No, I just hit a button. I can't do another one. I don't know. I don't know what time it is. I think it's been 10 minutes. Sure, why not? Let's do another 30 seconds because it's perfectly timed and then I'll show you something. Okay, you know I love my Evolution swivel shears, and you even know that these customizable shears come in non-swivel as well. But did you know that they're the only ones I've been trusting my sharpening with for around 15 years, and that's how we met? What? You haven't tried their sharpening yet? If so, send in your next batch of sharpening and you'll get one shear sharpened for free with a $75 order just for telling them where you heard about them. Your shears and blades will thank you. Okay, so my introduction to how much I love ergonomics was working with Evolution shears. And if y'all have heard me talk about it, I shouldn't have even hit the button. I should have just started talking about the shears. But
no, I'm excited to try them because I haven't tried them. Yeah, no, you're
but
gonna.
Yeah, I will teach you the ways of the swivel.
Yes, yes.
All right. So anyway, so start. Ooh, we got another doggy there.
This is the star of the show right here.
Yeah.
Except don't look at her nails because they need to get done. She's like the plumber. Looks like the plumber with the cracks in their toilet.
Shoemaker's children go barefoot.
Right? Exactly.
All right. So my question for you, Michelle, can you teach a class on, was it kinesiology?
Kinesiology.
Can you?
I imagine I can teach. I'm a teacher, so if you tell me what you want me to teach, I can formulate a class.
What she's saying is,
go ahead, Chris.
She phrased that as a question, but you've just been tasked with putting together a class for kinesiology as it applies to grooming and how we move for the ergonomic summit. That's going to come up. What do you say in the spring?
You know, I think probably June of next year, because the schedule so far has already been set in stone through April. I mean, I could do it in May because I haven't set that one in stone yet, and do a business one in June, but then I do another business one in September. So that's kind of close.
So Mary, am I going to make you video edit and tease what may not be correct public information yet, but is that even your call? Is it even your call?
It will be because it won't be official until I need time to set it up. So it's not like it's June and then it has to be set up. It's set up months ahead of time.
Yes. You know what? I've been teaching, as you know, Mary, large groups for a very long time.
Yeah, I know that.
So I would be perfectly happy to design something that we can.
All right. So you'll let me know how much time you need to present it.
Well, you need to tell me how much time I have, because that's how, if I only have a certain amount of time, because I can talk for hours and hours and hours and hours. And so,
all right, realistically,
dial it in.
We still got to get handle off the ground.
That's okay.
I'm going to say 1 to 2 hours.
Okay. That's easy.
And then you can hammer out that later. You're welcome, Mary.
Okay.
As she's quietly going, you're not welcome. Get out my business.
You know what? I think the best thing about something like that, though, is just getting people to understand that if you do things a little more ergonomically, the long-term benefits for your physical health, are going to take you a long ways. Because, I read so many posts of groomers that they can't do anything because they have carpal tunnel and they've got shoulder problems and back problems, and most all of them are self-employed, and so they can't take time off to do stuff because they're self-employed. And when you're injured and you're self-employed, you don't make money, so you have to figure out the longevity of what you're able to do, whether it's through shears, whether it's drying. It's those things that you're doing repetitively for very long periods of time. And even just how you stand in your trailer, the height of your table, sitting. I sit to groom sometimes when I've got big dogs. I have one of those saddle stools, and I will sit for a little bit, and just so that I can relax, and I lower my table down when I've got big, de-shed dogs that just want to lay down while you're drying, so that, you're just changing it up a little bit and allowing your body to relax a little bit in between. And the best thing about this though, is that I like just switching it. I would never use my left hand normally, but because it's so easy to hold on to, I can brush with this hand, I can brush with this hand. So it's just, you become a little ambidextrous with stuff and just figure out, what to do to relieve some pressure.
And you are totally preaching to the choir, because self-employed person who missed almost 3 full months of work. And thank God that Ashley Hanvey was like, you should get this saddle stool. And I like had it in my Amazon wish list. Like, it was marked, it was ready. So that when I hurt myself and I'm like, I should probably just get this stool now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was able to do a lot.
I had foot surgery right when I started my own mobile. I had foot surgery. I had a cyst removed off of a toe, and I took a week off because that's all I could afford to take off. And I was like, I physically cannot stand on my foot for 9 hours. So I bought that stool and figured out how to do a little bit of both. I mean, the best thing, when I hammock little dogs, I lower my table down, and I can sit and I can do nails sitting because they're like right here. And it just, I think people really should understand. They should try to figure out a little more ergonomic stuff. And that first shop that I went in, that was like the biggest, like, oh my gosh, these people are dying in here. And she didn't have any employees except one, because people couldn't stay because they couldn't work. It wasn't, workable for most people. So if that's an educational thing, and teaching people how to, care for themselves a little bit more and use tools, and not be afraid to invest in something, because it's an investment like in your health, instead of buying 50 things of one thing that don't really work, buy one thing that works. That seems to be, a go-to. People are like, I need this, and you don't need all those. Just buy the things that work and are going to help you out in the long run.
And I say this all the time when people are starting out and they're like, well, this is different. Maybe I should just do this and learn this first, the traditional way. And I'm like, but if the traditional way is going to hurt you and build incorrect muscle memory, why put yourself through that?
Muscle memory. Because a couple of the groomers that tested this, because we started with a week, and Rose was the one, she's like, Michelle, I need this at least 2. I can't do this for a week. My hands are still not, I need it for 2 weeks. So once we switched everybody to 2 weeks, we got a lot more feedback that was honest and true to what was happening, because it takes a while. There is a learning curve with it, because your muscle memory takes you right back, to holding the hose. And on one of these, it kept making me grab, like I was grabbing up here, and I was like, no, why am I grabbing there? What's, and that's just where my hand kept going until I figured out, I needed a bigger base here so that I had something more to support my thumb on. So we, hopefully at the end of the day, the design that we have allows your hand to relax. You can flip it around, you can work with both hands, but most importantly, just find that neutral position so that you don't have the strain in your wrist and the death grip on your hand, against the wrist, like holding like a submarine sandwich as tight as you can all day long.
Death grips, well, they have the word death in them. That's all I'm going to say. That's just not, no.
Yeah. And, and the nice thing is, Tommy reminded me, he's like, Michelle, because what you guys are doing with the injection mold, we have a scalable product for 4 distributors, which makes it a little unique from some of the other things that are popping up right now. So that's I was glad he reminded me of that. So far, so good. Everything's going as planned. We're super excited.
So what's the name of the website?
thehandleitcompany.com.
All right, that's easy enough.
Nice.
Yes.
And so when we start taking,
We hope to, as soon as the website is completely up, we were hoping to do some pre-orders in December and then be able to fill them, January 1st. Here in California, I don't know how your taxes work in the states that you're at, but if we do the whole LLC like today, then I have to do a 2023 tax return for 6 weeks of nothing.
Yeah.
Because that's how California works. So we're actually doing the LLC the last 2 weeks of the year. You don't have to do a tax return. If you do it the last 2 weeks of the year, you don't have to pay, because in California, you pay an automatic $800. You have a new business, a new corporation, we need $800 just because. And then you still have to pay your regular taxes on top of that. So with the LLC will be developed the last 2 weeks of this year so that we can avoid a corporate tax return and that automatic $800. So that way we'll have a tax ID number at the beginning of the year so we can start doing bank accounts. And, we're probably going to go Shopify is what we're going to do. That seems to be the most easy thing for people to maneuver on the website. So we'll be hooked up to Shopify and then we'll be ready to go.
Okay.
Yay.
It's very exciting. And Chris, I'll send you the other one this weekend. So we're picking those up on Friday. So you should get your new one next week.
This just means that I'll have one that I'll attach to my house call dryer or that I'll take with me for house calls, and one that will live in my home salon.
If you've got 2 dryers, you need 2 handles. That's just.
I need 2 handles. It's just the thing. It's just okay. Mary.
Yes.
We're going to run a couple minutes over, but I'm going to do our very last commercial. And do I have any idea if it's been a full 10 minutes or not? No, I do not. Because that's how today has gone. Normally I am very
and I will say something and Chris will be like, it's only been 8 minutes, 53 seconds. Hold your horses.
Hold your horses. We have a whole 3 more minutes. Chill. Listen, we'll talk about how our days went when I get back from this button here. I love being a house call groomer, but I hate doing laundry or worrying about asking my clients for fresh towels. Raypet has solved those problems for me with the Wet Pet disposable towel, taking up much less space than traditional cotton towels and easy to wring out and reuse. These super soft, comfy, absorbent towels eliminate any cross-contamination concerns between pets. And now their new smaller washcloth size can even help those sensitive eye areas. Great for cleaning out wrinkles gently and thoroughly. Need to keep water bowls for your clients on hand that are easy to disinfect, but hate all the room traditional clanky metal bowls take up? Or just have a very active pet? Their collapsible silicone bowl comes with an aluminum D-ring hook that can be attached to your pet's leash or anywhere else in your van for easy storage. You can get one by itself or in their handy travel kit, along with a set of 3 tick removers and 1 small wet pet towel. So stop by their website to check it out, raypet.net, and tell them the Traveling Groomers sent you. Ta-da!
Do you use those towels?
I do actually use those towels. I do use those towels. I like them because, especially now with everything going around, because first we had COVID. Now we have this dog bacterial infection going around. First of all, I don't want to do towels in my wash, because that was when I first went house call, we had that discussion and my husband's like, I don't want to wear out our towels.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate going to the laundromat. I hate it. I've done it for years. And it never gets better.
No.
It never gets more fun. I keep thinking it's going to be okay this time. No.
Horse blankets to the laundromat. Don't tell the laundromat, but we don't.
Because you're not going to put them in your machine.
Okay.
So
we don't blanket anymore. So
well, but I like being able to just toss it. 1 towel per dog. I toss it. I don't have to worry about any kind of cross-contamination. It's done.
Interesting. I'll have to check those out.
Yeah, no, they work. It's especially for mobile.
Yeah.
All right. Do you know where your table's going to be at Groom Expo?
I don't know the exact location, but we do have a corner booth. So we'll be on a corner somewhere. I think I put the request. So I actually talked to James, James at Barkley. And so he was totally hooking me up for that. And we kind of requested to be near Tommy. So we can kind of throw the ergonomics back and forth. You know, you should go over here and check out these ergonomic things so that we can kind of work together on that. And yeah, and James actually, so he is going to be super cool. I am getting ready to send him a very high pixel or whatever, a really good professional picture and 100-word description. And he's going to advertise for me in Groom to Groom magazine. So,
Nice.
yeah. So he offered to do that. So I'm working on that to get that to him. So hopefully we'll do that, you know, January-ish, February-ish. And yeah, so we got a lot of good people on our team, a lot of good people in our court. So been very blessed to just network to all the right people. I don't know how that happened, but it did. So
sometimes it just works out. All right. For those of you not watching, Pooh Bear has got his head sticking out of Mary's sweatshirt and she's just giving him this little like head rub and he's just looking up in the air and he's got this like
kangaroo.
Oh, just rapture, this just absolute rapturous look on his face. And it's really adorable.
You know, I have a puppy sitting on my foot under the table. So she's
well,
like,
that's how you keep your feet warm.
Yes, it is. Works.
It totally works. It totally works.
Yeah. So lots of good stuff. We're super excited. We're going to be in kind of purplish. We're doing purple camo with like lavender shirts. So if you
nice.
get the name, you can be like, find the purple camo lady. And I had to like come up with something that had a visual to it as well. So
yeah. Okay. I like that idea.
Our dogs. We'll bring the CPR dogs so we can practice on the CPR dogs. So we can turn the dryers on and people can try it with the dryers.
Well, you know what? I could bring my husky for you if you remind me, rather than having you ship up yours.
Well, okay, for Tacoma. Okay. Well, I don't, we'll probably drive, I think. How long does it take to drive to Tacoma, Washington?
21 hours.
Oh, jeez.
Maybe not.
Yeah, right. That's a long drive for me.
It's a while.
Yeah.
It's a while.
Yeah. We'll figure that out. But yes, if that works, then I can get your husky.
Yeah, you'll just have to make sure you remind me because I have a booth at Tacoma, so I'm gonna be packing up my own stuff.
Right. The last time I talked to you, Mary, had I done CPR yet or not? I don't think I had yet taught it. That was so much fun. I had so much fun teaching that day. I had 8 groomers here.
Nice.
And we had a great time, not just doing CPR and first aid, but it was a great networking day. It was interesting because there were a couple really young, I'm going to call them kids in their 20s that have been mobile for a few years. And they were so grateful just to find a group of people because they said that they felt very isolated grooming. They'd left corporate or some kind of shop that they didn't have a good situation in. They went mobile and they were so just gracious to have a network now. So we're on this group text now and everybody's like, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys do with this? Like my dryer went out. I was like, my dryer went out. So somebody else had a canine and I went to her house and borrowed her canine. We installed it. I took mine to the dryer guy and he changed all the brushes and stuff on it. And so it was just ended up not just being a good CPR day. It ended up being just a really great networking group. So
that's something I found that was more unique to mobile groomers, that when I started, and I see less of it now, but when I started, the shop groomers were very like, there are competition down the road. And it's less like that now, because now there's just so many dogs. There's way more dogs than any of us can handle. But I think mobile kind of always had that.
Grooming and compared to mobile grooming is like basically it's 2 different animals.
Yeah.
It's really, it really is. It's completely different.
You know, it's back when I first started, I think I was mobile for a couple of years, and I'm driving past the bank and I see a mobile grooming van parked in the parking lot. And I'm like, oh, I need to stop. And I stopped the van, I parked it, and I ran into the bank and I scanned everybody.
You're like, I want to see the smock, the comfy shoes, the hair repellent clothing.
And I go, you. You're the mobile groomer, right? And she's looking at me. Yeah. Okay, good. We need to talk.
She was probably terrified that you had like,
I have 10 dogs and I need them groomed.
100-pound dog that just rolled in deer poop and it's outside. You totally have a moment because you stopped, right? You're right here.
75-year-old Labrador.
Yeah. I can't stand.
Oh.
You can do it.
Oh, and one of the benefits to being house call over mobile, and I know Mary can list all the things she doesn't like about house call, but you know what I don't get during house call? You know what I don't get?
People knocking on your door.
Can you groom my dog now?
Okay. All right. So my daughter is in Yale and she's going to do classes over the summer. So she got an apartment in the area. So I take my mobile grooming van and I'm hauling her stuff over to her apartment. And as we're unloading boxes, Chris, from the van, this guy comes running up to me, carrying his little dog, going, oh my God, thank God you're here. And,
excuse me?
You showed up just in time.
Yeah. Like, apparently I'm just like driving around the state of Connecticut because the area code was 2. Okay. And, pulling in front of his apartment building so he can just get his dog groomed.
That's crazy. You know what? I don't have any advertisement on my trailer, no phone number, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get a lot of random calls. I get an occasional, people knocking on my door, but not very often. So I don't know that everybody even knows what I'm doing in there because I don't have any advertisement on there. So some people, when I go to the gas station, they're like, that's a really small camper. I'm like, you're right. It is. It's a really small camper, but it works, and they fill my generator and just keep going. So yeah, that's kind of nice. Everybody was like, what's your wrap going to look like? I'm like, it's blank. It's going to be blank.
When I had some body work done on the original van and then I got the van painted. So they took off all the graphics that were on it. So then they're like, well, we can put the graphics back on. And I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not.
Lots of groomers took their graphics off or didn't do it. So
I've actually had the experience of driving down the street in the neighborhood I service and seeing someone with like a huge matted doodle. I'm not hating on doodles. I'm hating on huge matted doodles that God forbid you shave. And I find myself like sliding down in the driver's side, like just kind of, and then I realize I'm in an SUV. I'm just in a car.
Might see your scissors nearby though, or something.
They might. I don't know how. I don't understand how I think they're going to know and flag me down. But I'm just trying to hide. I'm at a stoplight.
Really loud, Can't hear you. What?
Yeah. Oh man.
So I'm looking forward to doing CPR stuff and January stuff. I've got some other groom shops that want some recertification for their staff and stuff like that. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
And as I recently found out, you can teach a CPR class one-legged.
Well, yeah, you could teach it sitting down.
I taught it sitting and kneeling, but that's a thing that can happen. So we are definitely good on time. We've passed our thing, our time, our everything. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having us, and thank you for all your support and your help and introducing us to the people Well, Mary started it all and it just has snowballed from there. So
No
very,
problem.
very grateful for just getting to meet and be part of the right people. It's been very important. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
It's
problem.
fun.
I know.
All
And
right.
About the program. I'm excited about that coming out. I think it's going to make such a huge difference in groomers' lives.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
Oh, and I'm going to say 2 hours on that workshop.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Because 2 hours minimum.
You know what? Here's the thing.
You know what? She's going to put you with the last class of the day,
It's okay.
like she does for me. Because
You know what? I'm used to teaching like 500 kids at a time, a day. So I do like when I'm doing science assemblies, I do 100 kids, then 100 kids, and 100 kids, and 100 kids, and 100 kids, and they put 6th graders at the end of the day. And you're like, all right, now we've got kids who really don't want to be here, but then they're like, oh, cool, this was fun. All good.
All right. So if you think you need more time, let me know.
okay.
I'll make my lesson first and go through it, and then I'll tell you how much time I need, but I'll plan for 2.
Okay, cool. All right. Again, thank you both for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. And thank you guys for listening and safe travels.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that was fun. But now it's time to head home. We hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed chatting with you. If there are any topics you'd like us to discuss or guests you want to see join us on this crazy road trip of ours, let us know in the Traveling Groomers Facebook page. Don't forget to thank our sponsors. And see you next week, guys. Safe travels.